Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh, Hare Krishna Jai Gauranga Das Prabhu. Please extend my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Swami Prabhu, Prabhu, Pranjal Prabhu, Dutta Pambala, Vasansis, August, Shusha Prabhupada.
Thank you so much.
Prabhu.
Oh, Vivek Prabhu, can you read the Mangalacharan prayers?
Yes, Prabhu, I can.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Divirandasya Gnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunlimitam Mena Tasmai Shri Grave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Ashramamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhuve Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasha Kadeshitarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Guru Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, John Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, today we continue with mantra number 9. Let's read like 2 or 3. So, get go. Andam tamah pravishanti ye vidyam upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau vidyayam rata. Word to word. Andam, gross ignorance. Tamaha, darkness. Pravishanti, enter into. Those who. Avidyam, nescience. Upasate, worship. Tataha, than that. Bhuyaha, still more. Iva, like. They. Tamaha, darkness. Those who. Also. Vidyayam, in the culture of knowledge. Rataha, engaged. Translation. Those who engage in the culture of nescient activity shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This mantra offers a comparative study of vidya and avidya. Avidya or ignorance is undoubtedly dangerous, but vidya or knowledge is even more dangerous when mistaken or misguided. This mantra of Sri Isopanisad is more applicable today than at any time in the past. Modern civilization has advanced considerably in the field of mass education, but the result is that people are more unhappy than ever before, because of the stress placed on material advancement to the exclusion of the most important part of life, the spiritual aspect. As far as Vidya is concerned, the first mantra has explained very clearly that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything, and that forgetfulness of this fact is ignorance. The more a man forgets this fact of life, the more he is in darkness. In view of this, a godless civilization directed toward the so-called advancement of education is more dangerous than a civilization in which the masses of people are less educated. On the different classes of man, karmis, jnanis, and yogis, the karmis are those who are engaged in the activities of sense gratification. In the modern civilization, 99% of the people are engaged in the activities of sense gratification under the flags of industrialism, economic development, altruism, political activism, and so on. All these activities are more or less based on satisfaction of the senses, to the exclusion of the kind of God consciousness described in the first mantra. In the language of the Bhagavad Gita 7.15, people who are engaged in gross sense gratification are mudas, asses. The ass is a symbol of stupidity. Those who are simply engaged in the profitless pursuit of sense gratification are worshipping avidya according to the Sri Isopanisad. And those who play the role of helping this sort of civilization in the name of educational advancement are actually doing more harm than those who are on the platform of gross sense gratification. The advancement of learning by a godless people is as dangerous as valuable jewel on the hood of a cobra. A cobra decorated with a valuable jewel is more dangerous than one not decorated. In the Haribhakti Sudodaya 3.11.12, the advancement of education by a goddess people is compared to decorations on a dead body. In India, as in many other countries, some people follow the custom of leading a procession with a decorated dead body for the pleasure of lamenting relatives. In the same way, modern civilization is a patchwork of activities meant to cover the perpetual miseries of material existence. All such activities are aimed toward sense gratification, but above the senses is the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul. Thus, the aim of real education should be self-realization, realization of the spiritual values of the soul. Any education which does not lead to such realization must be considered avidya or nescience, and to culture such nescience means to go down to the darkest region of ignorance. According to the Bhagavad Gita 2.42.7.15, mistaken mundane educators are known as Veda Vadarata and Maya Pahritagyana. They may also be atheistic demons, the lowest of man. Those who are Veda Vadarata pose themselves as very learned in the Vedic literature, but unfortunately they are completely diverted from the purpose of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, it is said that the purpose of the Vedas is to know the personality of Godhead. But these Veda Vadarata men are not at all interested in the personality of Godhead. On the contrary, they are fascinated by such fruitive activities, fruitive results as the attainment of heaven. As stated in Mantra 1, we should know that the personality of Godhead is the proprietor of everything and that we must be satisfied with our allotted portions of the necessities of life. The purpose of all Vedic literature is to awaken this God consciousness in the forgetful living being. And the same purpose is presented in various ways in the different scriptures of the world for the understanding of a foolish mankind. Thus, the ultimate purpose of all religions is to bring one back to Godhead. But the Veda Vadrata people, instead of realizing that the purpose of Vedas is to revive the forgetful soul's lost relationship with the personality of Godhead, take it for granted that such side issues as the attainment of heavenly pleasure for sense gratification, the lust for which caused their mental bondage in the first place, are the ultimate end of the Vedas. Such people misguide others by misinterpreting the Vedic literature. Sometimes they even condemn the Puranas, which are authentic Vedic explanation for laymen. The Veda Vadaratas give their own explanation of the Vedas, neglecting the authority of great teachers, acharyas. They also tend to raise some unscrupulous persons from among themselves and present him as the learned exponent of Vedic knowledge. Such Veda Vadaratas are especially condemned in this mantra by the very appropriate Sanskrit words Vidyanam Rataha. Vidyayam refers to the study of the Vedas because the Vedas are the origin of all knowledge, Vidya, and Rata means those engaged. Okay, Haribol, who wants to continue from this part?
Ajay Karang Prabhu can continue more.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, that would be
No,
nice.
you guys continue. You guys continue earlier.
Okay, John Prabhu or Vivek Prabhu?
John Prabhu can continue.
Yes, I can read. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Vidyayam Rata thus means those engaged in the study of the Vedas. The so-called students of the Vedas are condemned herein because they are ignorant of the actual purpose of the Vedas on account of their disobeying the acharyas. Such Veda Vadatratas search out meanings in every word of the Vedas to suit their own purposes. They don't know that the Vedic literature is a collection of extraordinary books that can be understood only through the chain of disciplic succession. One must approach a bona fide spiritual master in order to understand the transcendental message of the Vedas. That is the direction of Mundaka Upanishad. These Veda Bhadatrata people, however, have their own acharyas, who are not in the chain of transcendental succession. Thus, they progress into the darkness region of ignorance by misinterpreting the Vedic literature. They fall even further into ignorance than those who have no knowledge of the Vedas at all. The Mayaparita Jnana class of men are self-made gods. Such men think that they themselves are God, and that there is no need of worshipping any other God. They will agree to worship an ordinary man if he happens to be rich, but they will never worship the personality of Godhead. Such men, unable to recognize their own fulness, never consider how it is that God can be entrapped by Maya, his own illusory energy. If God were ever entrapped by Maya, Maya would be more powerful than God. Such men say that God is all-powerful, but they don't consider that if he is all-powerful, there is no possibility of his being overpowered by Maya. These self-made gods cannot answer all these questions very clearly. They are simply satisfied to have become God themselves.
Ribo, thank you, Prabhu. Okay, let's read at least one more. Vivek, Prabhu, you want to continue?
Okay, Prabhu. Anyad evanur vidyaya. Prabhu, like, what is a tune, Prabhu? One can use.
Anya devahur vidyaya nyadahur avidyaya
Vidyaya.
ishusrumadhiranam.
Ye nastadvichi vichacha kshriye. Like, anyad ever vidyaya nyayad ahur avidyaya iti shushuma tiranam ye nastad vichacha kshriye. Anyat, different, eva, certainly, ahu, said, with yaya, by culture of knowledge, anyat, different, aho, said, avidyaya, by culture of essence, iti, those, shushuma, I heard, dhiranam, from the sober, who, anha, to us, that chacha, kshre, explained. Translation: the wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of essence. Purport from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. As advised in chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita 13.8 to 12, one should culture knowledge in the following way. One should become a perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. One should not pose himself as a religious simply for name and fame. One should not become a source of anxiety to others by the actions of his body, by the thoughts of his mind, or by his words. One should learn forbearance even in the face of provocation from others. One should learn to avoid duplicity in his dealings with others. One should...
Oh, what happened?
The sixth one. Okay. One should search out a bona fide spiritual master who can lead him gradually to the stage of spiritual realization, and one must submit himself to such a spiritual master, render him service, and ask relevant questions. In seventh, in order to approach the platform of self-realization, one must follow the regulative principles enjoyed in the revealed scriptures. Eighth one must be fixed in the tenets of the revealed scriptures. Ninth, one should completely refrain from practice which are detrimental to the interest of self-realization. Tenth, one should not accept more than he requires for the maintenance of the body. 11th, one should not falsely identify himself with the gross material body, nor should one consider those who are related to his body to be his own. 12th, one should always remember that as long as he has a material body, he must face the miseries of repeated birth, old age, disease, and death. There is no use in making plans to get rid of these miseries of the material body. The best course is to find out the means by which one may regain his spiritual identity. 13th, one should not be attached to more than the necessities of life required for spiritual advancement. 14th, one should not be more attached to wife, children, and home than the revealed scriptures order. 15th, one should not be happy or distressed over desirables and undesirables, knowing that such feelings are just created by the mind. 16th, one should become an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and serve him with rapid attention. 7th, one should develop a liking for residence in a secluded place with a calm and quiet atmosphere favorable for spiritual culture, and one should avoid congested place with where non-devotees congregate. 18th, one should become a scientist or philosopher and conduct research into spiritual knowledge, recognizing that spiritual knowledge is permanent, whereas material knowledge ends with the ends with the death of the life body. Hare Krishna, Karthi Prabhu, basic member of the you can read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances to all worship Prabhupada. From where, Prabhu?
Prabhu, like Prabhu is showing these 18th items.
Okay, Prabhu. And which verse is this? I mean, which mantra is this?
Like it says avidya and vidyas.
Okay, no problem. I'll start from here.
So
Is my voice okay? Is my voice audible?
yes, Prabhu.
Okay, yes, Prabhu. These 18 items combine to form a gradual process by which real knowledge can be developed. Except for these, all other methods are considered to be in a category of nescience. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great acharya, maintained that all forms of material knowledge are merely external features of the illusory energy, and that by culturing them one becomes no better than an ass. The same principle is found here in Sri Isopanisad. By advancement of material knowledge, modern man is simply being converted into an ass. Some materialistic politicians in spiritual guise decry the present system of civilization as satanic, but unfortunately, they do not care about the culture of real knowledge as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Thus, they cannot change the satanic situation. In the modern society, even a boy thinks himself self-sufficient and pays no respect to elderly men. Due to the wrong type of education being imparted in our universities, boys all over the world are giving their elders headaches. Thus, Sri Isopanishad very strongly warns that the culture of nescience is different from that of knowledge. The universities are, so to speak, centers of nescience only. Consequently, scientists are busy discovering lethal weapons to wipe out the existence of other countries. University students today are not given instructions in the regulative principles of brahmacharya, celibate student life, nor do they have any faith in any scriptural injunctions. Religious principles are taught for the sake of name and fame only, and not for the sake of practical actions. Thus, there is animosity not only in social and political fields, but in the field of religion as well. Nationalism has developed in different parts of the world due to the cultivations of nescience by the general people. No one considers that this tiny earth is just a lump of matter floating in immeasurable space, along with many other lumps. In comparison to the vastness of space, these material lumps are like dust particles in the air. Because God has kindly made these lumps of matter complete in themselves, they are perfectly equipped with all necessities for floating in space. The drivers of our spaceships may be very proud of their achievements, but they do not consider the supreme driver of these greater, more gigantic spaceships called planets. There are innumerable suns and innumerable planetary systems also. As infinitesimal parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, we small creatures are trying to dominate these unlimited planets. Thus, we take repeated birth and death and are generally frustrated by old age and disease. The span of human life is scheduled for about 100 years, although it is gradually decreasing to 20 or 30 years. Thanks to our culture of nescience, befooled men have created their own nations with these planets in order to grasp sense enjoyment more effectively for these few years. Such foolish people drop various plans to render national demarcations perfectly, a task that is totally impossible. Yet for this purpose, each and every nation has become a source of anxiety for others. More than 50% of a nation's energy is devoted to defense measures and thus spoiled. No one cares for the cultivation of real knowledge, yet people are falsely proud of being advanced in both material and spiritual knowledge. Sri Isopanisad warns us of this faulty type of education, and the Bhagavad Gita gives instructions as to the development of real knowledge. Its mantra states that the instructions of Vidya, knowledge, must be acquired from a dhira. A dhira is one who is not disturbed by material illusion. No one can be undisturbed unless he is perfectly spiritually realized, at which time one neither hankers nor laments for anything. A dhira realizes that the material body and mind he has acquired by chance through material associations are but foreign elements. Hmm. Therefore, he simply makes the best use of a bad bargain. The material body and mind are bad bargains for the spiritual living entity. The living entity has actual functions in the living spiritual world, but this material world is dead. As long as the living sparks manipulate the dead lumps of matter, the dead world appears to be living. Oh, wow. As long as the living spiritual sparks manipulate the dead lumps of matter, the dead world appears to be living. Actually, it is the living souls, part and parcels of the supreme living being who move the world. The Dhiras have come to know all these facts by hearing them from superior authorities and have realized this knowledge by following the regulative principles. To follow the regulative principles, one must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. The transcendental message and regulative principles come down from the spiritual master to the disciple. Such knowledge does not come in the hazardous way of nescient education. One can become a dhira only by submissively hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. Arjuna, for example, became a dhira by submissively hearing from Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead himself. Thus, the perfect disciple must be like Arjuna, and the spiritual master must be as good as the Lord himself. This is the process of learning Vidya, knowledge, from the dhira, the undisturbed. An adhira, one who has not undergone the training of a dhira, cannot be an instructive leader. Nadira, one who has not undergone the training of a Dhira, cannot be an instructive leader. Modern politicians who pose themselves as Dhiras are actually Adhiras, and one cannot expect perfect knowledge from them. They're simply busy seeing to their own remuneration in dollars and cents. How then can they lead the mass of people to the right path of self-realization? Thus, one must hear submissively from a Dhira in order to attain actual education. Oh, Haribol. Okay. Yes, Prabhu, it's 10 o'clock here in India, so we can.
Let's go to Sikhisastakam prayers. Hare Krishna Karti Prabhu. Thanks for joining. Please accept my humble
Please
obeisance.
accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Prabhupada. Haribol.
Hare Krishna Lebong Prabhu. Please accept my obeisance of worship.
Hare Krishna, Labang Prabhu,
Hare
Dandat
Bhagan
Pranam, all
Mahabharat
glories to
Prabhu.
Prabhupada.
Dandat Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada, glories to Sri Prabhupada.
Ole Bang Prabhu, you can start.
Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadevakni nirvapanam shreya kaivarachandrika vyaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam bodhi vardhanam pratipadam purnam ritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vichayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namnamakari bahudani charva shakti tatrarpitanyamita smarane nakalaha eta trishi tvava kripan bhagavan mamapi durdaiva me trishamahai jinanuragraha.
Trinadapi sunicena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtanyaha sada harihi. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktirahaitukhi tvayi.
ऐतन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितां वां विश्वं भवां बुध कृपया तव पादपङ्कजास्तधूलिशस्यं विचिन्तय नयनं गलदाश्रुधारया Please continue, bro. Please continue.
Okay, Prabhu. Sorry for interrupting, by the way. I'm so sorry. Okay.
No.
Nayanam galad ashrudaraya vadanam gada gada rudhadaya gira pulakay nishitam vapu kada tava nama grahane bhavishyati.
Yugaitam nimishena chakshusha pravishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam gonda virahe name.
अश्लिष्यवापादरतं पिनष्टुमामोदृष्णान्नार्ममातं करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो प्राणनाथस्तु वेनो परः
Did you read this, Prabhu? I didn't hear.
Yes, bro, done.
Okay, here you go.
Translation.
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
Number 3. You should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire a particular man, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O Son of Krishna, I am your eternal savior. I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me out from the ocean of death and place me as one of your feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the heads of my body stand on end at the station of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separations, I am considering to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and He so even if He handles me by His embrace or makes me broken-hearted, but He is completely free in everything, for He is always my worshipful Lord, conditional.
Ribol, Sri Siksastakam ki jai.
Jai.
Okay, the 10 offenses. To blaspheme the devotees who had dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
To consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent to the name of Lord Vishnu. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
From the Vedic version.
To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination.
6.1. To give some mundane interpretations to the holy name of the Lord.
Sinful activities and the strength of the
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as spiritual activities, Karma Kanda.
9.1. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired result, desired success, Krishna Prema.
Vancha
Krishna
kalpata
Prema.
Vanchakalparubhishta kripasindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Gaudiya Vaishnava ki jai.
Thank you very much,
Jai.
devotee.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari.